Before we begin today's lesson, I would like to take a look at the bell ringer that you did on Canvas. Yanni typed a 36-word paragraph in 2/3 minute. What is his typing speed in words per minute? In word problems like this, when we see phrases like words per minute, we're going to be working with a type of rate. It's also a type of division problem. So let's start out with words first. We have words per minute. Now let's put in what we know. We know that he can type 36 words in 2/3 minutes. In order to find for per minute, to find for 1, we want to divide. We want to solve this complex fraction. 36 divided by 2/3. From what we studied in our last unit, in order to divide by a fraction, we need to multiply by the reciprocal, or keep, change, flip. We're going to keep the 36, and we're going to multiply it by the reciprocal, 3/2. Now let's make 36 into a fraction, 36/1. And when we multiply across the denominator, we get 2. And across the numerator, we get 108. Simplifying this improper fraction to a mixed number, we find that he can type 54 words per minute. On your second bell ringer, you were asked which is equivalent to -8, and you were given 4 expressions. To solve this problem, you need to simplify each of the expressions. 80/10 is 80 divided by 10. That is equal to 8. The next one, -80/10. Another division problem which has a quotient of -8. This is one of our answers. The next one, 80 divided by -10. Different signs is negative. 80 divided by 10 is 8. We have another -8. And then in our last one, we can see that this will not be a choice because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. This gives us the quotient of +8, so not one of our answer choices. With this new unit that we're on, we are going to be using the scientific calculator. It is very important to understand how to properly use the tools that we're going to be having for all the different units. In this unit, one of the main keys that we're going to be using is the square root key. The square root key is going to be used on problems that look like this. If I were to ask you to find the square root of 16, in order to place it into the calculator, you're going to have to access that square root key, and in order to do that, you're going to press second and then the X2 button. To put the square root of 16 into your calculator, press the second and then the X2 button, and on your screen you will get what looks like this picture. And then you will press 1 and then your 6, and now it is very important to close your parentheses since you opened a set, and then press equal. When you press equal, it'll tell you that the square root of 16 is equal to 4. In the last unit, we focused on the rational number part of the real number system. When we talked about those, we started off with what we knew as natural numbers. Those are our counting numbers. And if we look at the inside of this diagram, natural numbers are like numbers like 19. It could be the number 1. It could be the number 52. It was any number that we counted. But you can also see that they include the square root of 4. The reason we can use the square root of 4 is because the square root of 4, when we simplify it, is equal to 2. Also, a number that we might find in the natural numbers could be written as a fraction. Say the fraction 12/3. If we reduce the fraction 12/3, we get 4. So all of these would be natural. We extend out of the natural numbers and we get into whole numbers. The number 0 is a whole number, but it is not a natural number. But if you see carefully, all of the natural numbers are included as whole numbers. Then we get into integers. Integers includes our natural numbers and 0 plus the opposites of those whole numbers. -5, -1,000, -16/4. -16/4 is an integer because it reduces to -4. Something else that you might see here would be the negative square root of a number, say 25, because this is equivalent to -5. These would be integers. And then rational numbers are all numbers that can be written as a fraction, -4/5. We also have decimals, 75 hundredths, that is 3/4. 31 8/10, that is also a rational number. We need to remember that when we have rational numbers, not only are we dealing with our numbers that can be written as a fractions, but we have our terminating and our repeating decimals. So we're going to add to our number system, and we're going to talk about the second part of the real number system, the irrational numbers. Irrational numbers cannot be written as a fraction. Instead, they are going to include decimals that do not repeat and do not terminate. This is a good example of a non-repeating, non-terminating decimal. If you notice, it's repeating the same numbers, but a 1 is added every time it repeats, so it doesn't stay consistent. Another irrational number is what is known as pi. It's this Greek symbol here. It's often used in geometry when we deal with circles, but pi is a never-ending, non-repeating number. These square roots, the square root of 2 and the negative square root of 3, are also two numbers that are considered to be irrational. Because when I place them into a calculator and try to identify them, I do not get an integer. Instead, I will get a decimal number. If we compare the square root of 2 to something like the square root of 4, square root of 4 gives you an integer. Square root of 2 will not. Therefore, a lot of our square roots will be found in the irrational numbers. Let's classify numbers as rational or irrational. Remember, rational numbers are anything that can be written as a fraction. This includes terminating and repeating decimals. And irrational numbers are your never-ending, non-repeating decimals. First up, we have pi. This is pi. Pi is always going to be irrational. We may round pi, but it is an irrational value. Our next is 0.040536661 with an ellipsis following it. This ellipsis here tells us that it is a never-ending decimal. And if we look at the decimal number values that we've been given, we do not have a repeating block. So this is going to be classified as irrational. Up next, we have 0.76, and it has the repeating bar on top of the 76. Since it is a repeating decimal, it is classified as rational. In our second column, we have 3.565565556 with an ellipsis. My ellipsis tells me that I'm never ending, so I am a non-terminating decimal. So we need to look to see if we have a repeating block of numbers, and we do not. Every time we bring in the 5s, it adds a 5 value. So 3.56556 0.5556 is an irrational number. Negative 17 is an integer, so it is a rational number. 3.275 is a terminating decimal, so it is also classified as rational. Is this value a rational number? First of all, if we look at it, we have our ellipsis. That tells us it's a never-ending, non-terminating decimal. So we need to see if there's a repeating pattern inside of it. Remember, it's not just a pattern that you're looking for, but it is the same block of numbers repeated infinitely. 0.121121, that's a good start, but if we notice, we have after 121, 121, 112, 11112. This again is one of those patterns they'd like to throw in there where all they're doing is adding a number rather than repeating the same block. So no, this is not a rational number. Jen classifies the number 4.567 as irrational because it does not repeat. Is Jen correct? And explain. Jen does have a point. It does not repeat. And irrational numbers do not repeat. But in addition to not repeating, they cannot terminate. And this decimal number is a terminating decimal. So Jen is incorrect. Also, if we read it properly, 4 and 567 thousandths, we can see that it can also be written as a fraction. And that is a main characteristic of a rational number. So Jen, you are wrong. As mentioned when we were introducing the irrational numbers, I mentioned that many square roots are going to be considered to be irrational. And this is when we're going to really value that calculator. If you do not have a scientific calculator, then you can also use a basic calculator that has a square root key on it. This could be the red, white, and blue calculator that the school gave you, or it could be the calculator that's on your phone. That is also allowed. When we're classifying square roots, we need to be careful to check them and make sure that they're not a perfect square. A perfect square is a number that is the square of an integer. And so when we find its square root, we're going to get a whole number or an integer, but not a decimal. We were given 3 examples in this picture. 1 is a perfect square. The reason I know is 1 times 1 is 1. So the square root of 1 is 1. Our next one, 2 times 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Next we have 3 times 3 is 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. If you notice, 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. It's like we're given the area of a perfect square. If you come across a number that is not a perfect square, we're going to write it in its radical form, meaning we're going to leave the square root symbol or the radical symbol around it. That's stated specifically here in the generalized box. An example would be if we go to try to find the square root of 19. And if we put the square root of 19 in our calculator, we get a decimal. We get something that's about 4.3589. And since we get a decimal, we would state that it is irrational. Using the square roots as we work on squares is going to be a very valuable piece of information. As we started out, if I have a square that is 4 in length and 4 in width, and I need to find its area, you would tell me to do length times width. 4 times 4 is 16. It's made of 16 boxes, but if I went backwards and said, here's my square, and it has an area equal to 49, how big are the sides? You could use the square root key to find this out, because the square root of 49 is 7. So each side would be 7, because 7 times 7 is 49. I want you to work on the rest of these problems in this lesson. This lesson part is going to focus specifically on identifying if a number is rational or irrational, and it may throw a couple squares in at you to see if you paid attention to this slide. I'll post the answers in 2 days so that you can check them and see how you're doing. Get with me if you have any questions or meet me on our virtual website. Have a great day.